Lila Rossi, a dark backstory. Lila Rossi, as portrayed in Miraculous Ladybug, presents herself as a charming and outgoing girl, but her true nature hides a much darker past. Here's a reimagined version of Lila's backstory. The early years. Lila Rossi was born into a family full of expectation. Her parents, who were high-profile diplomats, constantly moved from country to country. Lila's early life was filled with lies, deceit, and manipulation. Her parents, while busy with their professional lives, never gave Lila the attention or emotional support she craved. In an effort to gain their approval and affection, Lila learned the art of deception early on, fabricating stories to impress others and stand out in any crowd. But it was more than just seeking attention. Lila's need for admiration became a way of survival. In the absence of any genuine emotional connection, she built a world of fantasies where she could be the center of attention, making up stories of accomplishments and grandiose adventures. However, these lies eventually grew out of control, and soon Lila became an expert manipulator, using others to get what she wanted, even if it meant hurting those around her. The shadow of the past. When Lila was 10, her family was assigned to a diplomatic post in a war-torn country, where the pressure on Lila increased. Surrounded by chaos, she began using more extreme tactics to protect herself from a world that was becoming increasingly unpredictable. She quickly realized that manipulating people wasn't just for attention. It could be a weapon. At that age, Lila befriended a group of children who were part of a secret organization that specialized in intelligence gathering. They trained her in covert operation, spying, and psychological manipulation. She quickly became adept at getting people to trust her, only to use that trust to her advantage. By the time she returned to Paris, she was no longer just the charming, albeit insecure girl she once was. She was a master of persuasion and deceit. The Dark Catalyst. Lila's true descent into darkness began when she arrived at Collège François Dupont. At first, she tried to fit in by weaving a complex web of lies about herself, claiming she had known famous figures and had been on secret missions for top organizations. But as her lies were continuously exposed, Lila's need to control those around her grew stronger. Her desire to be seen as special, unique, and untouchable led her to form unhealthy obsessions, particularly with Ladybug and Chat Noir. Lila wasn't just interested in defeating Ladybug out of jealousy. She saw them as a symbol of everything she could never have: true friendship, loyalty, and honor. These were things she had never experienced in her life, and it made her feel inferior. But it wasn't just about beating Ladybug. It was about ensuring no one could outshine her ever again. In Lila's eyes, Ladybug's success was a reminder of her own deep-rooted insecurities and lack of a true sense of self-worth. Acclimatization. As Lila's manipulations continued at school, she eventually crossed paths with the villainous Hawk Moth. He saw in her a perfect candidate for a supervillain. Her ability to manipulate, lie, and scheme, combined with her ambition, made her a potential ally. With Hawkmoth's influence, Lila was acclimatized into Vulpina, a cunning and deceptive villain with the power to create illusions, further feeding her desire to be seen as untouchable. Under the guise of Vulpina, Lila aimed not only to defeat Ladybug and Chat Noir, but to make everyone in Paris believe in her false stories, forcing them to worship her as the most powerful and influential figure. The dark side of power. Lila's journey into darkness is marked by her increasing isolation from those who could have been her true friends. Each lie, each manipulation only pushed her further into a spiral of loneliness and bitterness. The more she sought power, the more she realized it came at the cost of genuine human connections. In the end, she wasn't just fighting Ladybug, she was fighting herself. An empty girl desperate for validation, but too afraid to be real. The people around her, though, were starting to see through her acts. Her inability to form real relationships, combined with her malicious behavior, made her an outcast. Even her own parents, busy with their careers, couldn't see the darkness that had taken root in their daughter's heart. Lila was trapped in her own web of lies, unable to escape the very trap she had set for others. The endless cycle. At her core, Lila wasn't just evil. She was a broken girl, shaped by neglect, loneliness, and the need for control. The lies that once served as protection had become her prison, and now, no matter how much power she gained, it was never enough. With each defeat at the hands of Ladybug and Chat Noir, Lila's thirst for revenge only deepened. She was no longer just a villain.